Alrighty guys, as here begins another Dragon Ball Legends ToP guide video. I know it's long overdue. I was actually on vacation. I meant to put up a community post, but I didn't, and I don't really have an excuse for that. It's just my fault. I'm sorry. I do apologize for it, but now I am back and I'm ready to get this video out to you guys, as well as part 1 of the walkthrough soon after. Last season we ended off at rank 5,555, which is actually pretty good. Of course, we secured that 1,000 CC from ToP. We didn't get no prize. I think we got like the bronze title is what we got there, so it's pretty good. We did use Regeneration. We are going to be using Regeneration again because I don't want to switch things up since we're already 1 week into the season and some of you guys might not be prepped for it or anything like that. So we're going to go ahead and stick with the same team as last season with a few minor adjustments in terms of boost characters. And before we move on, I'm going to go ahead and give a big shout out to doomgeta for helping me organize all the revamps and stuff like that, plus other like Aflac, for example. There's a lot of people behind the scenes helping me get this all together as well. There will be Discord links in the description down below, that way you can go ahead and show your support to them. One is the official Dragon Ball Legends server, where they are certified helpers for ToP, and then another one is, I believe it's doomgeta's private server, and that's the one that he runs, and then that's where you can possibly get into contact with them if need be for further help. And of course, there will always be timestamps in the description down below. So the first thing I'm going to tell you guys to do is you need to get your friendship rank up. Friendship rank is pretty important. Like, there's a hierarchy here. So basically, the first thing that you do when you're trying to get a unit stronger, right, is getting stars. So you get stars. If you can't get stars because lack of CC, maybe you're a free-to-play player like myself, it's not really that accessible. It's a lot easier to say get more stars in a character than actually getting more stars in a character, right? So the next thing you're going to want to do is look at your friendship rank. So your friendship rank, that is going to increase your stats in ToP. You can see the regular stats right here, and then we can see the increase from getting your units to friendship rank 10, right? So it's going to give you a pretty decent increase to all of your stats. I highly recommend doing it. Do your Let's Fight events 1, 2, and 3. You get each of those daily, so definitely don't skimp out on those. And then after friendship rank is definitely the arts boost. Arts boost is I would say it's the lowest on the hierarchy of getting your unit stronger, just because you need so many resources for it, and so a lot of people may be a little bit more reluctant to pour their arts boosting materials into a unit for ToP. And then of course, make sure you guys do get your equipment. The way to get that is it's just in the exchange shop. It's going to be in the permanent exchange shop, in the Rare Metal shop. There's a ToP specific tab. I always recommend 2 gold equips and then this equip right here. So this is your base HP. This explosive clash can go on everyone. You have to be 7 stars or above, unfortunately. And then there's these equip condition ones specific to your typing. Next thing we're going to talk about is our pathing. So here's on the screen, you're going to see parts 1 and 2 of what the videos are going to be split up into, the first half and the second half of the board right here. And you're going to also see it's color coded for your viewing pleasure. Well, not just that, it's so that you can also see where your boost is actually going to be put in place. And by boost, I mean your win streak bonus. This is basically going to tell you when to start bringing in your boost units, right? So for the first 14 fights, you can just bring in your strongest characters and completely preserve your Z tiers, your S tiers, and so forth, right? But once you get to fight 15, you start getting that 100% bonus, 200%, 300, 400, 500, 600, and then 800. So that's where you really want to bust out your impactful units in terms of your score, right? So Z tiers, your Z tiers and your S tiers. And then we also have the difficult fights highlighted for the season, which we will also go into. And as you can see from all the little Dorito chips on your screen, there is quite a lot for both the first half and the second half. Next thing that we will be showing here is the color wheel for the season. This is basically going to tell you how many colors of each type there's going to be. Like, for example, reds, 31 reds in the season, 32 yellows, 35 purples, 27 greens, and 23 blues. I actually feel like this is a pretty even spread, well, between the red, yellows, and the purples, right? The most popular color being the purple. So of course, many of you guys are going to want to have a yellow, a decently strong yellow on each of your team. But I think the most important thing to look out here, because every fight is labeled, or every fight is numbered 1 through 25 right here. There's the orange fights and the red fights. Those are going to be the difficult fights for the season. For example, the Super Saiyan 4 fight, you can see right here, that has 3 greens, 1 purple, 1 yellow, and 1 red. So that alone is probably going to tell you, hey, I need a purple. So those are just some things to consider when making your teams, especially when choosing replacements. Next thing we're going to take a look at is the cover prediction change, or I know that sounds pretty lame. These are all the cover changes that you might come across during your run right here. So on the left hand side, you got your strike cover changes / arts nullifications, your blast cover changes / arts nullifications, and the universal cover changes / arts nullifications right here. And you can see the strike, there's a good amount of strike. There's 12 total plus 2 nullifications, so totaling 14. For blast, it's 5 cover changes and 8 nullifications, equaling 13. And then for the universal, there's 8 total. So I would say, just based off of this, I think it's pretty even, but I do think blast-based teams are going to have the edge here, especially because you can see right here the DBS Rivals fight is included. We're going to go over that one for sure, but that one is extremely detrimental for strike-based teams because of the fact, if you can look at it right there, there's 5 strike cover changes in that fight alone. So now let's talk about some of the difficult fights here, or just some of the noteworthy fights. So this isn't one of the highlighted ones that we have on the board, but this is a fight where there's 2 stuns here, right? So the Frost is going to stun you on turn 2, Champa is going to stun you on turn 2, and then this yellow hit, he mitigates, he nullifies any kind of arts, right? So this fight is a little bit annoying. If you can kill Frost and Champa on turn 1, I think that would be ideal, but definitely at least try to get one of them. Next, we have this Sagas from the Movies fight. This one can be a little bit annoying. Personally, I like to go for the red Tapion first because he's going to reduce one of your unit's super gauges down to 0. So he is an important target for me. And then another thing to keep in mind too is that the purple Tapion, he does buff up, like I believe he delivers his buffs to his allies after he gets hit. So next we have the DBS movie fight. This isn't the one with Beast Gohan, of course, so this one's a little bit more manageable. But you do have the red Frieza. He's going to stun you turn 1. Nothing you can do about it unless you have a unit that can cancel normal conditions, such as Garlic Jr. And then Gogeta, the yellow one, he does mitigate, or he nullifies 1 strike arts, right, via his green card. We're going to encounter the Saiyans team, or well, the Saiyan Saga fight right here is basically what I call this one. Is you just have the Piccolo to worry about. If I'm being real honest with you, he will super you on turn 3. You have an ample amount of time to kill him before that happens. Next, we have event exclusive, the first version of this without the Demon King Piccolo, since the Demon King Piccolo one is significantly harder, or well, not significantly, but it just adds another layer of difficulty. So basically what most people do is they go for the debuffers first, which is going to be the 18 and the Goku Black, right? And then they go for the Super Boo, because he stuns you at the start of turn 3. And then next we do have another highlighted fight right here, event exclusive, but with Demon King Piccolo, so it's another debuffer that you do have to worry about. Pretty much same thing here though. Super Boo, he does have the stun. 18 and Goku Black, they have debuffs. Piccolo has debuffs as well. After that, we do have this Dragon Ball Saga fight. So what I want you to do here is go for the Roshi first, because he has a lot of blast-based cover changes that can be, or he has a good range, which can be annoying. And then go for the purple Kid Goku second, and then I would go for the Android 8 or 8er. He also has debuffs, right? So you don't want to kill him before you get the heavy hitters out of the way first. And then I do want you to go for yellow Kid Goku last, since he is going to be nullifying a blast arts if you're running a blast-based team. And then next we do have this Bardock fight, right? Where it's a little bit, this one we kind of already have had this one right here, but this one has Fasha in it. So I do suggest going for Fasha first, since once she lands a blast arts, she stuns whatever unit she lands it on, right? And then the purple Frieza, obviously the purple Frieza stuns a unit too. Go for that one, and then go for the Bardock, since the Bardock is going to be covering the Tora. And then you have your Super Saiyan 4 fight. Usually the recommendation is going for the yellow Super Saiyan 4 Goku first, since he has that universal cover change, and then going for the Tag Force, and then most people like saving the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta for last, since he's the tankiest, and a lot of people need to rely on the rush for it. It's only a 3/5 difficulty, but don't let that cloud your decision making here. Then we have this other movies fight right here with Bojack and then transforming Gohan. What I think is really effective is going for the yellow Gohan, killing him before he transforms, and then killing the Bojack before he's able to super attack you on turn the end of turn 2 because he's a really slow unit. He has really low key restore speed. So next we have this cell fight right here. I do like saving the suicide cell for last, just because he starts, I believe he gives you a debuff once you get him to below a certain HP threshold or upon getting hit. Either way, I do try to avoid that. The green cell is also giving you debuffs on turn 2 and 3. And then right after that, you do have the rivals fight. So Jiren has a stun. It's at random, but it's at start of turn 1, so you can't kill him beforehand or anything like that. And then you have a tag unit, very annoying, with a cover change, strike cover change there, strike cover change from Trunks, strike cover change from the Jiren, the hits, and from the Zamasu. And the Zamasu, if you kill him, he puts on a ton of debuffs on you, right? But also I've heard that if you save him for last, he gets enough attacks and you take too many hits to kill him, that he ends up getting his super attack. So you have to be cautious about that. A lot of stuff could go wrong here for a strike team. Then we had the Super Saiyan 3 fight. Since we're using Regeneration, I'm going to just advise you to be cautious of the yellow Super Saiyan 3 Goku. He does have the buff against Regeneration as well as the purple one, if I remember correctly. And you do have the stun from the Super Saiyan 3 Kid Goku, the blue one, and then the green one has a universal cover change as well as mitigation for 1 blast arts. And then the final fight, we have the Buu Saga. So yeah, we fought this one a lot of times. Budo is pretty much your main target here, since they're going to be the tag unit plus having the Transcendent Kamehameha on turn 4. Just don't let them do that, right? Yellow Super Saiyan 3 Goku, he does have that buff against Regeneration. The green one has the universal cover plus the blast arts mitigation. Angel Vegeta has the board wide support, or I believe it's board wide support, plus he does have the heal for all Saiyans in range. And then you always want to go for the purple Majin Vegeta last, because he's getting buffs every time you hit him. So now let's go over teams. So the first team that we're going to be showing off here is going to be Regeneration. I'm going to briefly just go over these just because we have a ton of teams to cover, plus a ton of new units to cover. But anyways, keep in mind the icons, right? So let's go. We have our boost units. We have purple Nail and then the yellow Piccolo. On my side of things, I'm going to use the purple Cell, just because I have this guy at friendship rank 10. I think it's going to be a little bit more beneficial for me to use that guy instead. And then of course I am sticking with the yellow Piccolo right there. He does have heals for 5 quadrants, right? Or for 5 blocks, 5 squares. It's going to be his own square, and then left, right, bottom left, bottom right. And then you have Super Baby 2 on here. He is not going anywhere. For my own team, I'm swapping out the purple Awakened Piccolo for the Garlic Jr. This guy is going to allow me to escape some of the stuns, because in that range that he has, he's able to nullify abnormal conditions 1 time. So he's effectively making it so that 4 of my units are immune to a stun. And Butanks has the super attack right here. We have Red 21 support. Piccolo is going to be able to super attack on turn 3, so a lot of good damage output right here as well. So if you don't have this Piccolo right here, the next best choice is going to be the free-to-play Perfect Cell, or probably the Ultra Kid Boot if you guys have them. I'm pretty sure he is runnable at 5 stars. I've never experienced using him, but from those that I've seen have used him, they said that he's phenomenal. So alright, so next thing we're going to take a look at here is going to be LOE. For your boost units, it's going to be the second form Frieza right here. He is a melee type. You can just go ahead and swap him over to that. He's just basically there as one of your boost units. And then you also have the Z tier EX Frieza, whom I don't have, so that's why you just see his icon in the box right there. But there is a couple of replacement units, such as the yellow Metal Cooler and this blue Pod Frieza as well, which I assume many of you guys do have at 14 stars, hopefully. But you have a lot of stuns right here. So the purple red DBS Frieza, he's stunning on turn 1. The purple, or not the purple, so the red DBS Frieza stunning on turn 1, the purple LF Frieza stunning on turn 1, and then this green Cooler is also stunning, I believe, on turn 1. Yeah, it started the first turn. And then you have Chilled right here for the max HP buff, and then you have this Frieza over here as a healer. Most important, or well, not most importantly, he can be replaced, but you had the Golden Glizzy. This guy is getting an ultimate, or he's getting a super attack turn 1, and then he's also getting another super attack at turn 4, as long as there's 2 or more enemies remaining. So this means he can get 2 ultimates in 1 fight, right? You always want him on a yellow tile. Do keep that in mind, because once he lands his ultimate, he inflicts a bunch of debuffs. So get him on the yellow tiles as often as you can. So next we have
Very Force.
For your boost units is going to be Monray, and it's going to be the Raspberry right there, and then plus you have Naval. Naval is one of your core units because he is, look at that square of like support right there. full board support, plus he's also acting as a pseudo healer. You have the Frieza right here also acting as a healer, so you have double heals right there, making them both of your core units, right? And then you have the stun with the purple Frieza, stun with the red Frieza, debuffs from this Broly, and then the double supers with the golden Frieza, and you do want that first one to go into an ultimate, so always keep him on a yellow tile because he's going to inflict all of his debuffs once he lands the ultimate. So next we do have the event exclusive squad right here. So boost unit is going to be Monray, and it's going to be Raspberry, same as with Frieza Force right here, right? And then you also have a boost unit of the Naval who doubles as one of your core units right here. Again, that full board of support right here. It is not exclusive for Frieza Force, it's also for event exclusive, right? So he's going to act as a healer right there, and not only are you going to have a healer on the team, you're going to have a max base HP buffer with the Fleep Fleep. You're going to have support from the Cell, stun from this guy on turn 3, debuffs from the Goku Black as well. He builds up his super attack pretty quickly, and then debuffs from the Broly. You can also see right here in the backup characters, you have a new Super Saiyan 3 Goku as a member that you can possibly slap on here if you want to. Alright, so next thing we're going to take a look at is going to be GT, the Blast Base. I feel like this one's kind of hard to build. I would say if you don't have all the units that are on the board, or if you're struggling to put this team together, I would say try to find another team, because obviously from the backup units there's not a whole lot to choose from. For your boost units, you do have this guy right here who has board wide support, which is nice. You also have the EX Trunks as a Z tier support, or a Z tier boost. A lot of you guys might not have him though, so you do have some replacements right here. Obviously you have the blue Omega EX Shenron, you have the blue Baby, right? I think he's all right. Listen, he's all right. Plus, he doesn't have, the only downside about him is that he doesn't have any damage cut, but he is going to be getting the Zenkai buffs from the Super Baby 2, right? So there's some leeway there. And then the green Baby Vegeta, he might not be the most favored unit, but he'll survive, right? He'll work as a boost unit. Purple 17 is fantastic. He's a good damage dealer plus debuffer. 17 is a damage dealer, free to play. Kid Goku's free to play, so he's just, that makes him valuable on his own, plus he's pretty good. And then the green Trunks is fantastic against Saiyan enemies, plus hybrids, right? Saiyans and hybrids. So next we have the Strike version of GT, which is a little bit more accessible in my opinion. I feel like there's a lot more leeway here, especially with the units that are given. So boost units, this guy stays on here just like the same with Blast, because he kind of swings both ways in terms of stats. He's able to go ahead and fit on both sides. Yeah, very, very even stats actually. So he can stay on there. You got Majub as your backup unit. You got the Baby, this dude, so this red Super Baby, he's kind of finicky to use. Be very careful about using him, right? He only does get damage cut, but only if there's a tag Saiyan remaining. So say that there's one Saiyan enemy, you kill him turn 1, for the next 3 turns, he's not going to have that cut available to him. But for your core unit, it is going to be a Super Baby 2. He's just the best for GT and Regeneration. You have the Tag 4s right there, who are very good for damage dealing, and just tag units are great for this game mode overall. You have the Zenkai Super Saiyan 4 Goku yellow, the Zenkai Kid Goku red. That dude gets super attack every other fight, by the way, 50% per fight. And then the Ultra Gogeta, runnable at 5 stars, as he is runnable at 5 stars. So if you need to use him, bust him out. And so next we have the girls team. So I know some of you guys have been asking for this, so we finally have delivered right here. There's like literally more of the characters on this team are boost units than not, which is pretty insane. So I would say you are only running this team to get really high points. So I feel like this is more of like more of a difficult team to run. So if you are using them, I do suggest having a good amount of stars on them. But you do have some good things going on right here. Of course, your core unit is going to be this blue Kale. She's able to heal herself plus the row above her, right? So that is a must bring unit in my opinion. You have this Berserk Kale. I like her a lot because she has cover change, and it's not health gated, right? So it's one of the few units that can do this. She has a strike cover change, and she gets reduction for damage only by 20%, but that's still pretty good, right? And so she just blocks 1 strike. Kale and Caulifla are pretty good. They're often used on Saiyan teams as well. The only thing that may be confusing to you guys here is maybe the green Chi-Chi, because she does favor strike more so than anything. If she can, I mean, there's somewhat of a gap right there between your strike and her blast, but she's still very, very much usable if you're still having second thoughts about running her. Or you can easily just go into C tier and then pick up the green 21, who has the stun available to her right at the start of turn 2. Plus she's also getting that 30% to on special move gauge, and she does buff girls, but only by 18%. And some of you guys might be asking, where the heck is Videl here? I'm gonna be real honest with you. I think the stat spread is just too high. At maximum stats, you can see the strike attack is 262,000 versus a 228,000 for blast. So it's kind of hard to just throw her on there because the team does favor blast arts. But she does have a really good kit here. So I mean, if you guys want to experiment and try her out on this team, I definitely do encourage it. I mean, at your own risk though. I don't want you guys to have a bad season and then blame it on me for trying to have you guys experiment with this Videl. Alright, so next we got androids right here. So boost units, you do have the Cell Jr. Many of you guys might not have him since he's one of the harder extremes to get. The purple Cell, many of you guys should have him. He's also the Z tier right here. You do have a couple boost replacements, right? Androids doesn't really have the best boost replacements right now. I mean, you have the 18s, but both of the 18s are strike based, so I would say they're more so last resort picks here. Definitely you can use the purple 15 as well as the Zenkai 17 right there. And then as for your main roster, you do have the core unit of this yellow 18. This yellow 18 is going to be one of your healers right here. The only reason why she doesn't really fit on girls team though specifically is because she only buffs Majin Buu Saga, event exclusive, or tag androids, so girls is left out for her. And then MVP 17 just provides fantastic support. MVP 17 is damn near a core unit, right? He's probably like just a few steps below it. 17, great damage dealer. Cell has really good support. And then the purple 17, he has debuffs available to him as well as being a decent damage dealer. And then the green 21 has that stun for you on turn 2, so a pretty good setup right here as well. All right, so next we do have Sun Family, or Tauntaun, whatever you want to call it, but this time we're including 2 versions of this team. So this is going to be the blast version. This is still in the works, so if the pickup character or the backup characters seem a little bit off, they might be. They're definitely, this is still pretty fresh for us. This is a new inclusion right here. As for your boost units, you do have the Gohan, and you do have the Red Super Saiyan Blue Goku. This guy can go, he swings both ways, so you're going to see him on both versions of the team, as you can see from the stat spread right there. As for your boost units, it's very slim pickings, though. It's not a lot, unfortunately. They kind of got shafted this season a little bit. For core units, and well, this guy doubles as a core unit and a boost unit, is the Super Saiyan Goku from the Namek Saga. This guy is your healer. I would say this guy is a must run, obviously indicated by the core symbol right there, right? And then Tauntaun, who the team is based off of. This guy has the taunt mechanic, which allows all enemies to only focus him for turn 1. You have 2 free-to-play characters on here in the form of GT Kid Goku and the Super Saiyan Gohan down there. The GT Kid Goku is a good damage dealer, plus the blue Gohan actually has a buff against powerful opponent. You see a lot of powerful opponents, so I think that's more than welcome. The Ultra Gohan is going to be your bread and butter for damage, because that guy, he does get a guaranteed blue card as long as he activates his counter. So basically mitigating a strike arts, right? So he activates the counter and then he gets 100% to his special move gauge. And of course the purple Gohan, the Legends Limited one, should shine here as well. So next we have the strike version of the Tauntaun team, which I do believe this is the better version of the team. Obviously you might go back and forth between them depending on what season favors which. You know, sometimes the season may favor blast teams, sometimes the season may favor strike teams. So that's why the inclusion of both of them is starting to begin. You have the same backup units right here as the last one. So you have the purple Gohan, the red Goku right here with the pretty even stat spread. And then for core unit slash boost unit, you have this Goku. He's not going anywhere. Tauntaun, he's not going anywhere for either of the teams. The only difference is being with the other units. Again, either or. No matter what team it is, the boost units are still slim pickings. But for the rest of the roster right here, you do have the yellow Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku, who does get a guaranteed super on turn 2. He actually is better than the Goten, as much as it breaks my heart to say it. And then you also have the Kid Goku GT, gets a super attack every other fight, really good. Beast Gohan, he's fantastic, absolutely amazing. And then God Goku, if you guys have the God Goku at 7 stars, man, like, let him go crazy. he also gets a guaranteed super attack turn 1. Oh, and then something I forgot to mention for the last one is that you have some new additions here. As you can see, the Super Saiyan 3 Goku, the purple one that just came out. We're gonna go over his kit a little bit later, but he is good. So next we have hybrids, the blast version right here for your boost units. You do have the purple Gohan, same thing as with the Sun family teams. This guy does have damage cut. You do want him at 14 stars though. He will get folded if you let him, so don't let him. And then you also have the Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks right here. He's just a regular S boost, but he has the damage cut. He has death buffs, but you don't want those death buffs, right? For your core unit, you do have this red pan right here. This is going to be your max HP buffer. And then for your bread and butter damage, you actually have a good amount of damage dealers here, right? Like you have the Gohan, who's going to get that guaranteed blue card as long as he eats his strike arts first. You have the tag units, you have the Beast Gohan, you have the purple Gohan, and then you have the support from the Gotenks. This Gotenks does have board-wide support, actually. The only thing that I say, I think I've said this before, the weakest part of this team, though, is that there's not a whole lot of yellow options for damage dealers, right? Like, I mean, Gotenks is good, but I don't think he's doing amazing damage, right? The most damage you're going to get is out of that Vegeta Trunks unit, and if you don't have the Vegeta Trunks unit, then you don't really have a great yellow to choose from. Again, another one of those teams that kind of got shafted in terms of boost units. Not a whole lot to choose from, usable options at least. So next we have the Strike Brids, which actually, honestly, is like very, very close to just being extremely interchangeable. For boost units, you are going to have this purple Gohan still, just like with the other one, and then you're going to have that blue Gohan, but that blue Gohan just came out on the Broly banner. I don't expect a lot of you guys to have him, so instead, I do have this purple transforming Trunks on here. If you don't want to run the double purples, you can put one of the other units here. Like, for example, we do have the green Trunks. That green Trunks is like heavily blast based, that EX one, so maybe the red Trunks, the Zenkai one. But I would argue that for your green unit, you can still put Ultra Gohan on here, because when we look at his stats, they're still pretty evenly spread out between the strike and the blast arts, right? So he's still valuable here, even on the strike version. You're still running the Fat Gotenks, you're still running the Blue Beast Gohan, you're just switching out the Ultimate Gohan, the Legends Limited one, for, well, they're both Legends Limited, the purple Legends Limited for the red Legends Limited, and then you're just swapping out the Vegeta Trunks for the yellow pan to favor the strike team, right? Alright, so next we have Saiyans. This is going to be the blast version right here for your boost units. You do have Fasha. She self-heals, so technically she has team heals, but only for Bardock, or Team Bardock, right? So, I mean, she's going to be healing herself, and she's going to be healing the Legends Limited Bardock if you're going to be bringing in the Legends Limited Bardock, right? And then you also have the Goku right here, who doubles as a boost unit plus the core unit. This guy's going nowhere. He is a healer to the left and to the right of him. He is very, very good. For damage dealers, you do, or another boost unit, you have the Kaba. This Kaba is very, very good, especially paired with another Vegeta unit or a Rival Universe unit. Even if he's not paired with those, he inflicts all enemies with the attribute downgrade plus 20% of damage received, blast damage received for one turn regardless. Then you also have the Red Turles. He's always very good here. Raditz gets a guaranteed super turn 1. He is a little bit on the slower side, so do keep that in mind. And then you typically have the Boo Duo here, but if you need a replacement, this Blue Broly will work, and then also the Spirit Bomb Kid Goku, the GT one. As for new additions, you do have the Ultra Turles and the Yellow Triku. So next we have Saiyans. This is going to be the strike-based variation right here for boost units. You do have Z-Tier Tora, right? He does have damage cut. He has double up damage cut, actually, which is pretty good. And then you have this Nappa, who's doing board-wide debuffs against the enemy team right here. You will love to see it. And then you have this boost unit, who doubles as a core unit for the Goku. This guy's pretty much seen on every Saiyans team, on every Tahan team, Sun Family team, stuff like that. As for your other units, you have this guy, guaranteed super turn 2. You have two tag units. That's enough said. You're basically going to be cooking for the entire season. You have the the UI Goku purple. He has the evade mechanic and stuff like that. I know this is a strike-based team, but you can go ahead and just swap him over. His stats aren't too far. He actually has more strike attack, right? That's kind of weird. And then you have the GT Kid Goku, super attacking every other fight since he gets that 50%. Turles, the Ultra Turles that just came out, can work here too. That's why he is added to the roster right there. Alright, so next we do have the Universe Reps team right here. This is going to be the blast-based version, which is my personal favorite version of the team, although I haven't run it yet. But for your boost units, you have 4 of them here. You only need the 30%, keep in mind, but you have the yellow Topo, who pairs magnificently well with the green Dispo right there. A lot of crit buffs, crit damage going on between the 2 of those. And then you have the Kaba right here, is going to give a lot of blast-based damage, right? Since he is going to be inflicting those debuffs to all enemies, plus buffing up rival universe allies, which you're going to find plenty of them here. And then you have the double up. You have core unit / boost unit Kale, who's also acting as a healer, right? Well, that's what's causing her to be a core unit in the first place. For units, you have Jiren, turn 1 stun. You have the green. Listen, it's probably better to have a tag unit here in the form of the Evo Ken, but you can run this green Zenkai Topo. I actually think he's pretty solid. He does have a turn 1 stun. Plus, you get some really good Zenkai buffs for the Dispo, right? MVP 17, he's really good. And then you have the Golden Glizzy. Make sure you always have him on a yellow tile because you want that initial super attack, since he gets 2 of them, right? As long as he's fulfilling certain conditions, such as having 2 enemies alive on the 4th turn, or 2 or more enemies alive, something like that. But always keep him on the yellow tile, because once he does hit an ultimate, he inflicts a bunch of extra debuffs, right? So turning that first special move into an ult is massive. And finally, we have the Universe Reps Strike team right here. This actually looks pretty good too. So for your boost units, you have the EX Champa right here. It is runnable at 7 stars. He actually has a lot going on for him in his kit, which is impressive. And then the yellow Topo remains right here because he does have just good team support overall. And then for your core unit / boost unit, Kale remains right here as your healer. Xiaowei actually does have a heal too. Not enough heals to warrant her being a core unit or anything like that, but she does restore health of allies by 1%. And then you have the tag unit, Go Frieza, amazing unit. You have the Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken super attack on turn 2, at the start of turn 2 that is. And then you have both of the UI Gokus. Both of them have the evade mechanic. Both of them have high strike damage output. For the final segment, let's go over new units, and oh my god, there is a ton of them. So let's try to be diligent about this. So the first one going to be this Triku right here, ToP stats. Let's take a look at him at max stats right here. Key restore speed 2300, not the worst thing in the world. Has the blue card and the ultimate ability. At the start of the turn, 70% to damage inflicted, 20 damage cut, and it continues, -5% to next damage sustained, cannot be cancelled, 20% to special moves charge rates, and you nullify attribute downgrades 3 times. At the start of the turn, according to number of enemies, 6 enemies remaining, 30% to damage inflicted, 5, 20% to damage inflicted, 4 or less, 15% to damage inflicted for 1 turn. On special move or ultimate arts against unfavorable element, 50% to damage inflicted for 1 turn, 35% to critical. I mean, we'll take it. It's all right. I think it would have been it would have been way stronger if you just went type neutral against it, right? Rather than just getting extra damage against it. Does have a blast arts cover, change health gated by 30%. After receiving an attack, you restore your own health by 1%, activates 2 times, 20% to dealing damage inflicted, activates 2 times for 2 turns, and then 25% to own special move gauge, activates twice. Ooh. So if he gets hit 2 times, he just automatically gets 50%. That's pretty good. 5% to damage inflicted by allies in range for 2 turns, activates twice. He feels like Birdku a little bit, giving me Birdku vibes. Plus 20 to key recovery of allies in range for 2 turns, activates 2 times, and after receiving an attack, own health is 50% or below, restores health by 2%, activates once, 30% to damage inflicted, 40% to key recovery, and you cancel attribute downgrades at abnormal conditions, and you upgrade your I mean, judging by all of this, something tells me he's not, and how tanky the unit is, I don't think he's going to get below 50% that often. And you don't want your units below 50% anyways. So next we do have the Testicle Twins, or Rasin and Lakase, whatever you want to call them. We have the ToP stats pulled up right here. Let's max them out. Key restore speed 2664 is pretty bonkers. Has the blue card and the ultimate available to them. Does board-wide support, 65% to damage inflicted, 20% damage cut, and an extra 10% to key recovery, just cuz they're going to be the fastest unit in the game. End of turn, multi-target, 5% damage inflicted by allies in range for 1 turn, inflicts enemies with attribute downgrade plus 20% to damage received for 1 turn. So at the start of turn, if there are at least 4 other Crusher Corpse or sagas from the movies remaining, 15% to damage inflicted and 15% to damage inflicted for sagas from the movies or the Crusher Corpse. Has a board-wide strike cover change, health gated by 30%, and once you get receiving an attack against unfavorable element, you get an instant minus 10% to damage received 3 times, up to 3 times. Restores health of allies in range by 1%, activates 3 times. And after receiving an attack, you get 10% to special move gauge charge rate and restores health by 1% on special move or ultimate arts. Multi-target 15% to damage inflicted for 1 turn and cancels enemy attribute upgrades and buff effects. I was talking to Doom about this guy actually, and I think he said this guy is like a worse version of the Fat Gotenks, so I don't think a whole lot has changed by him entering. I mean, he's really fast, I guess, if you need a really fast yellow. So next we have Amond, or Almond, whatever you want to call him. Maximum stats right here. 2,423 for key restore speed is not bad. It does have the blue and the ultimates. At the start of the battle, 80% to damage inflicted, 15% to blast damage, 15% damage cut, and 50% to Q. So this guy's pretty fast too. At the start of the 3rd turn, you activate your green card, 20% to special move damage inflicted, 35% to special move gauge is pretty nice. You cancel attribute downgrades and abnormal conditions, and on special move arts hit, you upgrade it, you automatically upgrade it to the ult, and you inflict enemy with can attack for 2 turns. So if you don't kill that enemy, they're just stunned for 2 turns, which is pretty good. Has a good range right here for the strike cover change, health gated by 30% though. After receiving a strike or blast arts, you restore health by 1%, activates 2 times, 20% to damage inflicted, activates twice, cannot be cancelled. On strike or blast arts hit, 10% to next special move, arts damage inflicted, 10% to special move gauge. At the start of the turn, if there is a defeated I don't care about that. As soon as there's a defeated ally involved, I'm checked out. Next we have Daiz, and then we have him at 14 stars. Wow, he has the lowest key restore speed of all them. Blue card and the ultimate available though. He does have, he has support, it looks like right here. Start of the 1st turn, you activate your green card, 70% to damage inflicted, 15% to damage cut, 15% to your own key recovery. Okay, that kind of saves it a little bit. At the start of the turn, if there are at least 4 Crusher Corpse or Sagas from the movies allies remaining, you get 10% to damage inflicted by allies in range, 10% to key recovery of allies in range, inflicts all enemies with attribute downgrade minus 5% to damage inflicted, and you inflict all them with minus 5% to special move gauge charge rate. After or before receiving a blast arts, so blast cover change 30% health gate. At the end of turn, if there were, you need 4 Crusher Corps of Saga's allies, you inflict attribute downgrade plus 5% to strike damage received, and then 5% to blast damage received. I don't like that, TBH. I wish it was just stacking 1. I don't like that it's going for both of them, because either way, most of the time you're running an all strike team or an all blast team, right? So it's like you're missing out on one of these, is what I feel like. On attack, 15% damage inflicted for 1 turn, 5% special move gauge charge rate, and you have a 25% to follow up a strike with another strike. I feel like he's the least interesting one to me so far. So now let's take a look at Cacao, the only one that I was not able to pull out of that banner at least. Key restore speed 2,299 arts. He has the blue card and the ultimate. First ability, 65% to damage inflicted, 20% to damage cut. Start of the turn, restores health by 2%, activates twice. You apply buff, notifies of normal conditions once, but oh, okay, so he can't get stunned. That's huge. On receiving an attack, self, minus 5% to damage received, activates 2 times, 20% to special move gauge, activates twice, so 40% if he gets hit 2 times. On attack, multi-target, 10% to damage inflicted for 1 turn, and you inflict enemy with attribute downgrade minus 15% to key recovery for 1 turn. At the start of the 2nd turn, you activate special action, 10% to damage inflicted, 15% to key recovery. Start of the 4th turn, 15% to damage inflicted, 15% to key recovery, and you cancel attribute downgrades and abnormal conditions. Upgrades, and you upgrade your special move arts. Okay, not bad. And then next we have the Ultra Turles. Let's see how good this guy is. So maximum stats, he does swing both ways. Since he's a defense type, he has pretty even stats. He can be on both strike and blast teams. He does have a high key restore speed of 2,549, has the ultimate and the blue card. And at the start, oh, so already debuff range right here. It's a weird debuff range. Start of battle, 90% to damage inflicted, 25% to damage cut, 10% to damage inflicted by Crusher Corpse. Oh, I'm surprised it's just Crusher Corpse and not also Sagas from the movies. And then 10% to ally Crusher Corpse special move gate. Dude, if I pull this guy, we might actually just run a Crusher Corpse team. On receiving an attack when health is, oh my god, below 50%, brother. I don't care about that, guys. Started the second turn, activate special action, multi-target, 20% to own special move gauge, charge rate for 2 turns, inflicts all enemies in range with attribute downgrade plus 10% to damage received, and inflict them all with minus 5% to damage inflicted. We'll read it. Yeah, so if he does get below 50%, you restore your own health by 3%, activates once, 15% to own damage inflicted, you upgrade your special move, you get 10% to more damage inflicted, and you inflict all enemies with minus 30% to key recovery for 2 turns. I mean, that's a really big chunk that you're possibly just missing out on. Has a strike cover change that's only health gated by 50%, so that's, I'm gonna say that's a W, low key. Everything is pretty much health gated by 30%. On a strike or blast arts attack, you restore your own health by 1%, activates 3 times, 10% damage inflicted, and you inflict minus 10% to health restoration to the enemy. On special move arts attack, you get 15% to special move damage for 1 turn. On ultimate arts attack, you get 15% to ultimate damage and 30% to allies key recovery. All of your allies, or maybe just in that range? That's pretty crazy. And then for the ultra ability, start of battle allies 5% to special move damage inflicted, and per sagas from the movies allies 5% to damage inflicted, 5% to key recovery, and if an allied sagas from the movies or Crusher Corpse, oh my god, is defeated, we don't care about that either. Seems still pretty good though. It's an ultra unit, so I expected them to be good. And last but not least, we finally have this free-to-play Super Saiyan 3 Goku. So maximum stats, he is at 2,302. He does have even stat. Oh, he actually has really even stats. We could probably put him on both teams then, on strike and on blast. For the arts, he just only has the blue card available to him. Start of the battle, 60% to damage inflicted, 20% to damage inflicted for 2 turns, 5% to damage cuts, 20% to damage cut for 2 turns, but the 5% is permanent. 15% to key recovery, kind of saves it a little bit. And on attack, 10% to damage inflicted for 1 turn, and you inflict enemy with minus 50% to health restoration for 2 turns. Ooh, that's a pretty good board of effect right there. Start of the turn, 5% to key recovery, inflicts all enemies that you downgrade minus 10% to damage inflicted for 2 turns, and minus 10% to key recovery for 2. Oh, he's making them significantly slower. At the end of turn 2, allies in range, 10% to damage inflicted, 10% to key recovery, cancels attribute downgraded in normal conditions, and at the end of 3rd turn, allies in range, 10% to damage inflicted, and 5% to special move. He actually seems pretty solid for a free-to-play character. I'm really liking that. I'm really liking the kit. All right, and that's gonna go ahead and wrap it up for this season's video. So the next video that you guys will see coming out is going to be the path video, the actual part 1. So definitely do look forward to that. Special thanks to doomgeta and the team once again, and thank you guys all for tuning in. If you guys enjoyed the content, make sure you guys leave a like, a comment, maybe even consider hitting that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later!